Hello and welcome to the Dive Bar, where we dive into the games of the week. This week, joined again by Tyler, also known as Simino Mas, and also joined this week by special guest, Captain of Losing Streak, Joobley.
Hello, how's it going?
Finally had your first win. So how does that feel?
It feels pretty good, and it couldn't have happened I feel like at a better time because our jungler, Mr. Jimmy Jangus, had just gotten back from vacation. I believe it was, unless I'm remembering wrong, I believe it was his first game back with us. So it's like we really wanted it to go well. We were against Baron Wasteland, who was also on a losing streak. Funnily enough, we were both 0-4 going into it, so we kind of talked about how important this win would be for us. We kind of had to lock in, despite some silly tomfoolery going on in the games. We did come out of that with a win, and it feels good, and definitely gave us quite a confidence boost, I would say.
Well, that's good to hear. And before we jump into the games of the week, I kind of want to jump ahead a little bit. So if you end up winning your game this week, are you going to become winning streak or?
Maybe next season,
Okay. We'll see. All right. Well, with that, we will hop into week 5 games, wrapping up the games from last week. Starting right off the bat, as we said, BW versus LS. LS winning this one in 3 games. A very, very close game 3. Do you want to just take us away on your thoughts on the series, Joobley?
Yeah, sure. So let me just pull up the stats here. Okay. Obviously we did go into this knowing that we can't underestimate them. We're both haven't won a series, and in fact, up until our games the week prior, we hadn't even won a single game. So, but we did. We took one game against HH, so that was the only game we had won. So yeah, we obviously go into it not underestimating them. Thinking about draft and thinking about bans. Game 1, I feel like I was definitely carried by my team. The Trinamir kind of popped off. So game one wasn't super close, I would say. And then the plan was to go. So Mr. 900 Slimes told me to lock him in Teemo, and he accidentally took lethal tempo. It was supposed to be an AP Teemo, but he did end up going full AD on hit Teemo. And there was one point in the game, if anyone watches this back, where it was kind of glossed over just a little bit, and it was hard to see. But in the background, Teemo just annihilates in a 1v3, and it was one of the craziest things I've seen. So that was definitely the highlight of that game, I would think. Lord Wrath was just a menace on the Urgot. And I think the Mumu and the Malzahar, I think specifically gave us was a really big issue, and so we definitely we took that away going into game 3, because we had Bandit, I believe, game 1, and then it was just I kind of forgot game 2, and he did really well on it. So game 3, Lord Wrath kind of pops off on the Victor again. And then that's when we, I think it's like a 35-minute game. We kind of had to super lock in for that one, because I think once we realized it was definitely losable, we kind of started sweating, and we definitely played more carefully. And I think it was we won a really big team fight at Baron, and I think after that it was just it was kind of smooth sailing, and we ended up winning the game.
Yeah, I mean,
super happy about that one.
Yeah, I think your performance this series was pretty decent. In game 2, you did lose that one, but I felt like even though you had a bad early game, you started to have an okay time in the mid game and the late game, and you, despite looking like you should have been losing pretty hard at maybe 20 to 25 minutes, you ended up stalling that game out all the way to 30 minutes, making BW really have to fight for that win. So it was definitely some really impressive performance there from that.
Thank you. Yeah, I did. I did feel pretty strong in game two. It was like I had a lot of farm by the end of the game and a lot of stacks on Smolder. So it's like I felt like I could have potentially carried that, but yeah, I don't know. The Malzahar was just a big problem, I think, and they just played better.
Yeah, and as you said, along with game three, like that one was like really insanely close. Baron Wasteland had all of the Barons of that game,
Hmm.
and then like you said, and I can confirm, it like really just came down to Baron Wasteland took their second Baron, and then you just wiped their whole team at the Baron, and then just won the game from there. That was really good.
Yeah, that wasn't
So
game three, right? Am I tripping? That definitely happened.
yeah, that was game three.
I might have. Okay, okay. It's like I don't know if I was thinking about a different game. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was really good, really impressive, and it shows how even teams that like look like, they're like bottom teams or bad teams, these teams are doing good. You can't underestimate them.
Yeah, we can only we're only going up from here. All right.
Only going up.
It's got to watch out for us.
We're on the winning streak. As we'll talk about in the next game, you're the guest in the dive bar, which means you have the dive bar buff now. So that means
awesome.
you'll definitely win your next match. And if you don't, then nobody else will want to be a guest. So you have to win now.
Ooh, yeah, okay. That's a lot of pressure on us, but definitely, it's gonna be tough. Two is they're a really good team, and I know Awesomenator is one of my former teammates back in the winners bracket days. So it'd be cool to go play against him for once and beat them.
Yeah, I was going to say last week, Awesomenator was in the runnings for Player of the Week, I believe. Mm-hmm. Or at least he got one of my votes. So definitely an ADC it would be a fun matchup for you.
Yeah, definitely. No, he played very well. The 2 Jinx games, I believe, and had over 10 kills both times. So yeah, I would definitely, for sure, would have had my vote. Player of the Week. He played really well.
Yep. But with that, we'll move on to the next game, the last game of week 5, 1IQ versus ABW. 1IQ won this one in 3 matches, thanks to Rihi having that dive bar buff.
Ooh, yeah.
15-0-9 in the 3rd match, the Unkillable Demon King.
Yes, sir.
In game 1, he also went 14-2-11. And game 2, the one they lost, his KDA was still among the best on his team. So, that dive bar buff coming in effective.
Yeah. So I mean, 1IQ, like I'm pretty sure this was the match of the week that most people were going to tune in to watch. 2 of the top 3 teams in the league, according to most dive bar, power rankings that we've had. So I mean, it's pretty even matchup, like all across the board. I mean, I know Rihi usually does. I mean, he is the best mid laner in the league currently. Bromstein, I think he's middle of the pack, but like the bot lane for ABW is definitely one of their strengths. So I think it kind of offsets a little bit of what Richie can do in the mid lane. But I don't know. I feel like throughout the whole, through game 1 and 3, Mpex, like he did a great job of farming, but he never really did like anything. He couldn't do anything with his lead. And that's usually because other parts of the map had already just gone down. So he couldn't really make an impact. But in game 2 on the Jinx, he went 8-0-9. He could use his lead that he got on early from an early triple kill, I believe. And like that game was so weird because I'm like, it slowed down so much compared to game 1. And as soon as I wrote that down in my notes, I look up and there's a triple kill in the top lane, or like 3 people dying over the grubs at 6 minutes. So I'm like, great job, like really making these notes noteworthy. And then the game kind of just picked up from there, and I feel like it was a pretty bloody game. But then game 3, Richie dive bar buff just taken over, getting the Magi's fully stacked, I believe, and just running the whole team down. One thing about 1IQ is like their map awareness for their whole team is just really good. Like Super Noob, he has some great roam timers. I'll talk about that more in a later series. But like the way that they play the map is just really well for a team, especially since they're not taking 5 teleports into the series every single game like another top team in the league. So I don't know. They can just move around the map even without TP, and I think they do that really well.
Same. Their macro is really impressive.
Yeah, like Rihi had stated on his episode, he thinks that their macro, I mean, he said that he thinks his team's best in the league and that they could beat PSR, and I think that they kind of showed what Rihi talked about in this series, where he said that his team kind of just messed up against PSR and they have the macro to be able to outplay their 5 TPs. And so, yeah, I think that was really demonstrated through this series, and that's what you said.
It's just a bit of an oopsie there. I think if they meet in playoffs, you never know. That would be an exciting rematch. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that one. But we'll wrap that up that week. Moving on to week 6. A quick side note: we probably can't talk about this game too much. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now for it, so we'll try to talk about it a little bit. ABW versus HH. HH won it in 2 games, and that was after last week I said I'm a closet HH enjoyer. So maybe that's a dive bar buff there, maybe. But unfortunately, that series was played Tuesday night, wasn't casted. Wednesday morning was the patch, so wasn't able to be casted. But just having a quick look at the stats, like it looked like that Vivian was doing really well that series. I love seeing a Gwen jungle. It's a pick that I wish I could perform well on because Gwen is awesome, but I am just like so trash at clearing on junglers that aren't like, I don't know, brand.
So, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, what are your guys' thoughts on the stats spreads for this match?
I think Blitzsprite played pretty well. Obviously going 6-2, 13, 8-1, and 12 on Talia and then Victor. I think he's in the upper part of like the middle tier for most mid laners. I think it's currently like Richie, the Mui, and then a few others mixed in. And I think he's towards the top of that list, especially if he can get Vivian rolling, because once Vivian can get rolling, like get ahead, they'll use that lead to like impact the rest of the map. And I don't know, I'm guessing they just had better team fighting in that game. Like game 2, very few deaths, only 14 in 34 minutes. So that's a great job by them. So I don't know. I think Bromstein didn't have his best week, like those 2 series back to back. His Seraphine mid game wasn't bad, but I think it's just a rough week for him. So I'd like to see him bounce back in week 7, as long as he's not playing against my team, and I don't believe he is. So yeah, I'd like to see him bounce back against BW, and I think that would be a great opportunity for that to happen as well. Toru played well. I know the previous week he did pretty well against Zesty with some extra help. First game he went 3-1-11 on Mundo, so he did his job. He didn't die. Got a bunch of assists. That's what you want from your tank.
Yeah, actually, an interesting note about Toru. It's just a funny little side note, is that it was brought up on one of the recent casts. I think it was the last night cast, maybe, where the champs page is now available on Beer League Stats, and so Slamright Jack noted, I believe it's Slamright Jack, noted that the champ with the highest, or I guess lowest win rate in most losses was Aatrox, and I believe all 6 of those losses were from Toru. So it was a funny little side note there. But yeah, when they weren't on Aatrox, they popped off in the series. So, well, not necessarily popped off, but I mean the 3-1-11 on Mundo is pretty good, and that was, or I guess that was the day before I believe some Mundo nerfs went out just this patch.
Oh, thank God! I hate Mundo.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how major they were, but they were there.
They were enough for Samurai Jack to be annoyed. Because I know that he usually spams him, or he did spam him in the past. So it's whatever. He'll be fine.
Well, with as much as we could talk about that one due to it being lost to the Howling Abyss, we will move on to the next match from the week: CR versus KGB. This series was like really entertaining. I'm pretty sure every series had like so many kills. I believe I was casting this one, right? I'm pretty sure I was.
Yes.
I was.
Yeah.
I can never remember for some reason. I'm sorry about my cat. I don't know if you can actually hear it, but
We can, but that's okay.
she's on my desk and going nuts. But yeah, game one, like there was no such thing as a skirmish in game one. Every time a fight started, the entire team showed up for the fight, it felt like. So it was really funny.
Awesome.
And then games 2 and 3 just were, I mean, that was just, it was just,
Game
they were
2
just
was
split
wild.
push matches. They were just split push
Yeah.
matches. So
Yeah,
what are your
and that
thoughts
was
on
really annoying in game 2 for us because they did the split push a little bit better than we did. But that's also because like I promised Pat Jones, I was like, hey, you can get a Teemo game in here, but we're gonna blind pick it. So I think that's on me for making him blind pick that, and then they could counter with the Yorick top lane. I don't think that matchup was very fun at all. But I don't know, we had a Baron empowered recall at the very end to possibly save it from the Wukong just like hopping over the wall. But then they had the Void Mites pop in, and they get a teleport in from both Yorick and I think Aurora, and I believe we killed the Wukong, but couldn't save the game. And then game 3, we had Pyro. I know people were a little bit confused as to where the Talia was going, but nice Talia, Leona bot lane, and he did a lot of work that game. But Pat Jones, I think I put a snippet in like my team's group chat, and he did 23,000 damage to turrets that series, or that game alone as the Trundle. I think the next highest was like 3,000. So he was a beast. It was great. He took on, I think, 4 members of CR that game and took down 2 of them, like in a bot lane and Hib fight. So like he did great, and it was Pyro's first time playing ADC in the beer league, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he did okay for a 7-pointer, I guess. He only had 19 kills, 17, and then 11. So like he could have done a little bit better if he ever came on the dive bar, but we'll see.
I guess lost that game too. That's kind of crazy. He's like,
yeah,
like Heist was really, really fed that game. Yeah.
You should watch it back. It was an absolute banger. We were up 9K and still lost.
Oh, damn! I was watching a little bit of it. Not. I guess it gets fumbled somewhere, but you guys won the series, so it's okay.
I was legit out of my chair for the ending of game 2. I was up in the air being like, no, the Wukong's going in, no. It was painful because I don't know, I have so many solo queue games that'll end up it's just like your base is completely open, but like you can win the team fights, but
I hate those games. Yeah,
they just get in there and break the base open.
Pat Jones on the Teemo. How many Teemos have we seen now?
I think at least 3, possibly 4. But this is a good time to check the champs page.
Oh yeah,
we've got 3 games, and Teemo hasn't won any of them.
Yep.
Man, we should have been the first. Damn, missed opportunity.
It's okay. Maybe next week in your matchup.
Yeah. Teemo might be like our one of our. Well, I can't really say much more, Otherwise, it's not a secret anymore. But he might be like a pocket pick or something. I don't know. You never know. Could be top. He could be support.
You might get a free ban out of it.
Yeah. Maybe, should be scared. Maybe. People should be scared.
People do watch the dive bar for all of our interesting takes, especially for upcoming weeks. So.
And I have a friend that's been just like spamming Teemo ADC, where he goes AP. He goes AP Teemo, but an ADC role. So.
Is it like win or what?
It's been working well for him. It's been working well. Also, I wanted to talk about like I because this was something that I kind of thought of was kind of funny when I was casting. It's like game one you have Eric on Kai'Sa, Pyroan on Jhin, and then game two it swaps around. So was that just like Pyroan was like watching Eric the whole time and then was like, no, I want Kai'Sa now?
Yeah, so in draft, we're like, let's just go Kai'Sa and show Eric 29 like how you can play it better. So it was a bit of like an egoing thing on the side of Pyroan, and like we know that Eric 29 also enjoys Jhin. So like going into the draft, it's like, all right, are we taking Kai'Sa? Or are we taking Jhin? And then game three, apparently it's like just flex around, make them think. I don't know what they were thinking during draft. Like I don't know their thought process whenever we went Volibear, Leona, and then rounded off top three with a Talia. Because Ched was on a team with myself, Pyro, and Pat Jones a few seasons back, so he knows Pyroan is a pretty good Talia in the jungle, so he might have been warning his team, like, hey, this is going here. Good luck. But it's just a nice little flex pick.
Yeah, that was a really interesting pick in game three. It was also like, I don't know, I don't remember, was the Leona picked after or before the
I believe it was before. I believe we picked it second on red side.
I'm gonna say it's not like the greatest thing to go with the Talia. I don't know like actual synergy there. You definitely would want like a Thresh or like a Alistar, something to force the stun.
Yeah, so our thought process was, and this isn't anything that's going to spoil it for anyone else, is like if Leona can go in and get the automatic stun, then Talia can just throw down her combo and get the knock up that way.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
So that was that, and plus if we went Leona, then like there's still we could go anything with that.
Yeah.
In case the matchup didn't look good, but they locked in Bard Ezreal, and Pyro was feeling pretty good with that matchup.
Yeah, there was actually something else that was a little interesting when I was going into game three, is that I was like looking at the Ezreal and Bard, and I was like, wow, well, they just picked two champs whose movement abilities can't be countered by Talia, so that's a little unfortunate there, but still worked out because Talia doesn't need to counter movement. She's good at it, but she doesn't have to.
Yeah, and I mean the Talia E also works against like the Zac jump in, so if he can react in time, then the Zac just gets stopped in his tracks, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that is one thing that I noticed. And also, okay, I guess the Swain's doing well. I was going to say, like, I feel like I keep seeing Swain a lot pop up, and I don't like it, but then I looked at the stats real quick, and it's like 67% win rate. I guess it's all right. It's all right in the league. But, yeah, I mean, before we move on from that, any thoughts on that series, Joobley? Anything you want to share?
I just think it's funny that so Eric plays Kai'Sa game one. It's a whopping 20 kills, right? Loses the game, and then apparently Pyron says, "Let me do it better." Gets 17 kills, also loses the game. So what's going on here?
Wait, I didn't even notice that. I don't know. I noticed the like swap, but I didn't even realize the Kai'Sa's like. Yeah, Kai'Sa, pop off, lose. I want to do it now. Pop off, lose. Yep. Okay.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah, so no, it's great that you bring that up because I was like looking at the stats last night, and Kai'Sa has been played in 15 games and has only won 4 of them.
Oh, that's terrible.
So only like a 27% win rate on Kai'Sa in the beer league.
Yeah, don't play that champ. Don't play Kai'Sa.
Whereas Jhin, 15 games, same number of games, has 12 wins.
Really? Okay.
So if you're debating between the two, go Jhin.
Yeah. Great, good to know.
And you have an 80% chance of winning that game.
I'm just picking Jhin every game now.
There we go.
Don't ban it.
Before last night's series.
Okay, good luck.
Before last night's series, Jhin was actually at an 87% win rate in the beer league.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
So, actually, that might even be before the CR versus KGB series. I'm not sure if that was from before or after that series, but it was around there.
He's just
So yeah,
really
it
strong
was
right now.
like really, really good. I think it was after the KGP series. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I believe it was like 13 games when it was 87%. So yeah, it's Jin's been a hot one.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a pretty crazy one.
Definitely.
But yeah, with that, we will move on to the next game, the last game, 1IQ versus RAWR, which introduces the new RAWR roster. And
Mm-hmm.
1IQ won it in 3 games anyways, still carrying that dive bar buff.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just too powerful. Rihi going 18-1-6 in the third game.
Crazy.
He's just absolutely popping off again. The only game where he doesn't have an insane scoreline is the one where they lose, but still has one of the best scorelines. It's sounding like I'm about to already crown him Player of the Week, but we're not there yet.
4-pointer, by the way.
Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this series and also on RAWR's new roster? I mean, actually, I'll just interject right away. Even though I'm asking for your guys' thoughts, I want to kind of add my quick thought on RAWR's roster.
Yeah.
Is that like in their games that they lost, they really didn't look good. Just kind of across the board, just not good scorelines. Cool J, like all right in game 2, all right in game 3. But like in the game that they won, like holy moly, Mui went crazy. Cool J went crazy. Penny 2-1-14. It's like a over 50% kill participation on the support. And kill the Kiwi 4-3-10. Like just really, really good. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the series and mostly on RAWR's roster?
Good question. I think this is the first time I've seen RAWR play. I don't know. He's certainly made a bunch of roster changes. I'm not sure how permanent this one is going to be. I mean, Richie. I mean, IQ. I think in general, kind of just played very well. I do want to kind of give like a little shout out to Wandering Monarch, because even though I feel like Richie takes a lot of the spotlight, I feel like he is also kind of just doing a lot and playing really consistently all across the board. Like he pulled out like Brand game 3 and I mean I think he played really well. So he's pretty versatile. I know I feel like he kind of gravitates towards the unquote meta champs. Like he played Jin the first 2 games, but yeah, I think him and Super Noob's kind of just like a super support. I mean, this guy's just crazy. He's like 2-6 and 45 across 2 games on Rel. I mean, it's just a really, really good player. And yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, RAWR in their defeats. Just looking at the stats, it kind of. I mean, especially game 3, it kind of looks like they just ran it. But then again, Richie's 18-1-6. I don't know. Those are my thoughts so far. I kind of just had them on in the background without sound last night. So.
Yeah. I think RAWR is going to go however Mui goes. I think he's going to really control whether their team is going to pop off and be able to like make it to playoffs, especially with LS, battling back and hoping to get a few more wins.
Yes.
And not stay bottom 2. I think Mui can be very good. I think Richie kind of got pretty annoyed after game 1 that, he got an early kill, I believe, onto Donovan without dying, and then just a few other early kills in his belt, in his pocket, whatever. And he ended up like 14-2-6, and yeah, like that's why we're seeing good KDs from the rest of the team, because Mui, he took a Jarvan ult, locked up Richie because Richie flashed and got stuck between 2 walls and literally couldn't move. And just, he was dominating the whole thing. And then you can see the next game, Swain lock in from Richie because Swain's just a beer league meta champ. Really strong most of the times. And I think he got an early kill or two onto Mui mid, so that really just shut him down. Didn't let the Kaisa pop off at all. And then game 3, let's not ban Yone. Not sure why that was a choice.
Crazy.
Because RAWR banned it in game 2 in their first 3. And then instead of banning that, they were like, let's ban Swain. That was the problem. And then they got the real problem of the dive bar buff, and Richie went 18-1-6. So
yeah, it's nuts.
But yeah, I watched that matchup today, and it was a nice one. It was fun. Sure. Richie was messaging me last night. He's like, "Yeah, Mui's better than me, my butt." I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to light a fire under you, because I know that the previous week he kind of didn't play well. They lost to PSR, so I think he just needed a little fire to get him going."
And got going, he did. I mean,
he did.
Damn, son.
Yeah, and speaking of fires, Brand, which was played actually in the last 2 series that we talked about, I believe, in both this series and the last series. 100% win rate across 2 games, just saying.
Whoa.
And he has only been touched just this week. So, a little interesting. Maybe it's something to look out for, because he was played in both support and ADC, or bot lane, rather. So, maybe that's a rising up pick there. But I think that's going to kind of wrap it up for that game. I can't remember if I had anything else to say about it.
So, I don't know, Super Noob, that series, like on the rel, like Joobley was saying, like, yeah, he went 2-6 and 45, but like his ganks, he just like hex flash over the mid walls from Raptor pits and like he's completely catch Mui off guard, and it's like, hey, thanks for getting me an assist so I can kill, or so Richie can get the kill. Like, he just had great map reads and did a great job there.
Yeah, he's kind of like a roaming god. I think like he does so much to help out like the rest of his team. Every game he's in, he's crazy. Really good guy. Really good guy. Really good player.
Yeah, I think I actually remember. I remember like, I think it was back. This is going back to week 5, 1IQ versus ABW. He played Poppy, and he had like, I remember his hex flashes into mid being just really crazy good that series as well. So Super Noob does great on those roams.
For sure.
As we also said that before with that series, I think too. Yeah, like we were talking about, or at least Tyler, you were talking about how Super Noob was really great at timing those roams. So yeah, Super Noob doing pretty good. But I think that'll wrap it up for the games this time, for real. And we can hop into, I guess, Player of the Week. So I'm kind of a little hesitant on mine, so I'm going to force you to take the lead on this, Tyler.
All right. So this one is obviously going to Joobley. They got their first win. No. Sorry, Joobley.
No, sir, I would not accept that.
No, I mean, this week I think I was kind of split between Rihi, because like he did get 2 series to use his buff, and not everyone gets that. So I think he did a really good job. Pyro, and like he was definitely the reason why we won our 2 games. I mean, like he should have won game 2 as well. And Pat Jones popped off in game 2. Like I forgot to mention this in my series, so I'm going back to this. Game 3, Pat Jones on the Trundle. He played 1v2 in the top lane for like the first 10 minutes. He got put down pretty far, and then come late game, he just dominated. But overall, I think I have to go with Richie. Like, he just reminded everyone why he won in week 1 and that he's still one of the premier players. Definitely, like, even if they lose to PSR, like, he's going to come back pissed off and he's going to do whatever he can to get his team some victories. So I unfortunately have to go with Richie.
I guess I'll go back to my picks now because I was hesitant because I figured that you, I don't know, I wasn't sure if you were going to say these ones or completely avoid these ones, but my like 2 picks that I was like kind of between were Pat Jones and Pyroan because Pat Jones did really well. He did well on the Teemo. He did well on NAR. And then in game 3, whilst it wasn't as much of a split pushing menace as Hernandez, I think that he still did a lot of very effective split pushing and also had a really good KDA as well on top of that. So like Pat Jones was doing crazy good, but also Pyroan was also popping off every game. I mean, he showed, hey, I can play Jhin really well, and Eric played Kai'Sa. Well, I can do that really well too. And Eric didn't do well on Jhin into him that game. And then Pyroan also brought out Talia and did pretty well on that. As you said, you felt like Pyroan kind of won you the games. And I mean, I don't like entirely. I don't think it was like entirely on him, but I think like he did good. He did a lot of carrying. So I think overall, kind of my final pick would probably lean towards Pyroan. Because even though I think that Pat Jones was like really, really impactful, I think that Pyroan was just kind of more impactful, more consistently throughout the 3 games. So I think my final pick for Player of the Week is going to be Pyroan. That's like my final nomination. But Joobley, what are your thoughts on potential Player of the Week or our picks?
Oh man. Well, I just want to say it's a shame that I didn't get to see HH versus ABW because it looks like.
It's true.
It looks like Vivian and Blitz Sprite also just kind of like played out of their minds. So definitely a big shame. Couldn't watch that series because
I was thinking that when I was looking at the score lines is I kind of wanted to almost give it to Vivian, but it's hard to really know if it's actually Player of the Week without actually seeing it.
Yeah, definitely honorable mentions for those 2. But let's see here. So. Like you guys said, I mean, Pyroan had some really insane games. I will say that. So Pyroan's definitely in my running for Player of the Week, and of course Richie had a really, really good series, 18-1-6 on the Yone. I mean, like, why do they not ban it? Really, really good game on the Swain. And I almost want to say, like, Super Noob is another honorable mention. Like, I think he just plays really, really well every game. He's everywhere, getting people ahead, getting vision. So if, like, I had to choose between, like, Super Noob, Richie, and Pyroan, it's, like, tough. And it's, like, I think it's, like, a really close call. So I'm just, I'm not going to pick anybody. I'm just kidding. No, I would. I want to give it to. As much as I really want to give it to Richie, I think I'm gonna give it to Pyroan. He just the dude ADC debut in the beer league just absolutely went crazy and made the difference. I think.
And I guess I should also say Pyro didn't know until like 4 hours before the game that he was going to be going ADC. Because our ADC messaged us and said, "Hey, I can't make it tonight."
Oh no!
But my brother Catalyst can sub in, so luckily he was rostered.
Nice.
And same point value, so it was nice. We had no team practices together, so it was smooth sailing. And yeah, I think Pyro's a good choice because he did 54k damage in game 1 and 2.
That's insane.
So like. Led our team, and then I think he had like 40k in game 3, so
yeah,
makes sense.
But I guess he didn't really play a traditional ADC in game 3, but I mean that doesn't matter. He's obviously got a lot of experience on Talia, and I'm sure it's a comfort pick for him. So good to see him pull that out.
Yeah, so there you have it. Pyroan Player of the Week again, denying Richie the best I can.
So close. Oh man, I feel bad.
No, I'm always trying to deny Richie Player of the Week. I gave him it like week 1, and then like every week he gets a nomination because he's always popping off. Like it doesn't matter. He's always eating up everything, eating up all the kills and popping off and going crazy.
He's just so attractive. It's crazy.
That too for sure. Anyways, going on from that, we have top teams. This week is actually, I think, one of like the best weeks to look at top teams, not just because we're deep into the season. I mean, technically, yeah, that's partially because, but also because when you look at like the score lines of all the teams, you have like, sure, there's the 2 ones that are up at the top, PSR and 1IQ. They're looking very dominant. Both of those teams very good. PSR, it just kind of has the crazy TP strategy that seems to be giving teams a lot of issues, and 1IQ is a team that in general is just has a lot of good players on it. But then when you look down from there, it's like all of those teams are genuinely a pretty good mix at this point. Like all pretty similar win-losses, all actually like highly competitive with each other, and I really love to see it because I'm just used to watching LCS and LEC where it's like 1 or 2 teams are all that matters. But honestly, like PSR and 1IQ, I feel like still have to put up quite a fight against every other team. I mean, Richie said it last week when he was on. He doesn't underestimate any of the teams. He puts everything into all the matches because underestimating anybody is a big mistake. So, yeah, I feel like, well, PSR and 1IQ are definitely at the top. And I was a bit of a doubter when Richie said that 1IQ is better than PSR and it can beat PSR, but after these past matches, I'm actually starting to believe it. So I think 1IQ is better than PSR. I think 1IQ is probably like the top team, but we'll have to find out in playoffs because for now, until somebody else takes a win off of PSR is going to be sitting at the top of that leaderboard. So for now, PSR technically the top, but I think 1IQ is probably the strongest team. And hopefully Trevor isn't coming back yelling at us in the next episode for that. But then, yeah, that's followed up by PSR. And then everybody else is like, they're so strong. It's such a good mix. I think maybe 2 more would be third. But from there, it's like genuinely difficult to really separate these teams because they're all just genuinely so competitive and so close.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into this week, I would have put ABW up like in the just below 1IQ and PSR. But I think with them losing against HH, like that kind of surprised me. Especially since it was just like a 2-game, hey, you're gone. I do believe that they got a new ADC though. And I think that kind of threw off ABW a bit. But like, yeah, like those games were over. First game was over relatively quickly at 28 minutes. Next one took 34. But I think just with that was really helpful. I didn't realize that Team 2 More has only played 4 games. So I know that they have a game coming up this week against Mr. Joobley.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I think that matchup can really dictate where LS stands as well as 2. To see if LS can push up above RAWR and CR. But I don't know. I'm going to put us KGB like firmly right in the middle. We're kind of, on our way up because ever since week 3, we haven't lost the series. So kind of something that you have to keep your eyes out for.
Definitely.
Well, Julie, what are your thoughts on the teams and how they rank up against each other?
Let's see here. Okay, so I have been a huge ABW fan. I think like just looking at that team, you have like, you have like Mpex, really bad Zed, just a lot of really consistent players with I think them just having a really strong bot lane. Like I've seen Mpex like hard carry so many times. So like I was a huge fan of ABW, and it's just it's like a shame they've kind of. Did you say they had a new ADC?
No, HH did.
Oh, HH did. Right. I was gonna say
Yeah,
no, Mpex is
they
still,
kept
okay,
Mpex. Don't worry.
Yeah, I would have cried. Yeah. So like I mean I would probably put like ABW, maybe. Hold on, I'm just looking at the current standings here. Okay. I mean, currently they are sitting at 3-3, kind of right in the middle. Same with HH. I do think that 1IQ overall is better than PSR, because I know Richie was saying that they didn't punish it properly, and I think that next time they face them, I think they'll have a really like solid plan, and I think they will be able to take them out. But I still think those are obviously the top two teams. They're both top of the standings. Let's see. Haven't played your team yet, Mr. Moss, but you guys have definitely a really solid team. RAWR, I genuinely have no idea. Hopefully we can kind of rise above them and make our way to the middle of the pack here before the season is over. BW, definitely a team to watch out for. I think they have some really good moments. I think kind of putting all your eggs in the Lord Wrath basket might be might be the way to go. Oh man, I feel like I'm just yapping here. Yeah, 1IQ and PSR are great teams. ABW I think is kind of just right below them. 2, I'm also a very big fan of. I would say they're also kind of around the middle upper range there. And yeah, like Bunny was saying, the rest of the teams are kind of just I would say very similar in strength for sure. I think it could go anyway. Sorry, I'm done yapping now. I feel like I just said a whole lot of nothing.
No, that's okay. This is the Yap Show. We come on here to yap, so
great.
That's what we do. But that'll wrap it up for team rankings. We got some pretty good thoughts on that. 1IQ and PSR basically it's just I don't know. I'm excited for playoffs so I can see that again. Mm-hmm. But speaking of, well, not necessarily playoffs, but future matches. Week 6, 2 more games yet to be played. 2 versus LS Sunday at 9, which will be Joobley's team. Hopefully you can win that. Hopefully you can turn it a winning streak.
We're open.
And then, but also before that, BW versus PSR will also be Sunday at 6.
Ooh.
So back-to-back games. Hopefully we can get casters for that. If not, I am so ready to cast for like 6 hours straight.
I'll probably try and cast. Hopefully, that'd be cool to cast PSR and BW. But maybe, you know what? I should probably be practicing that day, so never mind.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, that will be an interesting match. It's the team at the very tippy top versus the team at the very tippy bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be interesting to see actually how, if there is a sort of gap between the top and the bottom.
I will say, beware of a team that feels like they have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? I mean, they could just pull out the wackiest shit, and I feel like teams at the bottom, more often than not, might surprise you. Yeah. For sure. So, anything could happen, I think.
Just like at Worlds, LEC major region getting eliminated by a wildcard region, anything can happen. So,
oh god.
But also some couple games of note from week 7, KGB versus LS. Since we got both of the captains here, any trash talk, any
no man,
or any ideas on the series?
We're going to prio Teemo. Big prio on Teemo.
Right.
So
if they get Teemo prio, we get Jin prio. I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
You guys can also have Kaisa with the Teemo.
No,
It's
Kai's
nice pairing if we look at the
is a
stats page.
curse.
No, I'm really looking forward to playing against Blue Metal in the mid lane. He's obviously one of the better ones, and I think oftentimes just because of how LS has performed for like the majority of the season, he hasn't really been able to get his flowers for doing his best. I try and promote him from time to time whenever like I can. But it's going to be fun to play against Joobley. And he's got Bucci the Boo down in bot lane with him.
Sure.
And one thing that I remember from 2 seasons ago, we were playing against Bucci. Pyro was in the jungle against Bucci, and Bucci went Sejuani, had Aftershock. Pyro unlocks in jungle. I think at one late game team fight, Sejuani ended like with negative armor and magic resistance. So I don't know, like this is kind of just putting back into Bucci's head that Pyro is going to be there, and he will do his best to, inflict pain, especially if he's going to be playing support, but who knows, he might also go jungle. We've got a couple flex picks just by, summoner wise on our team. So it's going to be fun though. 3-game banger.
I hope so. It's the only way to do it.
Exactly. I mean, especially if Bunnyku is casting, he wants to cast as many games for as long as possible. So maybe we can do like some Nasus, Aurelion Soul, just like Senna, Thresh,
70-minute games.
Yeah,
back to back.
I hate all of those champs.
Or I just want to see like how many stacks we can get.
Oh, right. Like a stacking team? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Smolder, Nasus, Aurelion Soul, all of them have Heartsteel.
Yes.
Just the meatballest.
Now we're thinking.
Meatballiest of meatball comps.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, the other match of note that I want to talk about for week 7, 2 versus PSR. Because obviously, if you can remember from 2 weeks ago, Trevor has his list, teams he's crossing off to, the last one on that list, and also the last team that is kind of among the sort of like top ones that PSR has yet to play against. So that'll be an exciting series because I think that 2 has good potential to take down PSR in the same way that a lot of teams do, like 1 IQ. So it's actually some potential to maybe knock PSR off their throne. So definitely exciting.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think especially it's going to be fun if Fustro can play. He is one of the top half junglers in the league. I'm not saying he's 1 or 2 because I think that's where my back is sore and Vivian Desu come in. Or Pyro if he's playing in the jungle. But, he's up there. He's a 4-pointer, I believe, and I think this season that's pretty high in jungle costs, so should be a good matchup. It's all about whether Rowdy Fan can deal with Morgana mid, because Samurai Jack really can't play much other than that. So, yeah. No, I'm just kidding, Samurai. You can play much more. You can play like Dr. Mundo and Kale, and that's about it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll be wrapping up this week's episode. As always, thank you, Tyler Siminomas, for joining me. Thank you, Joobley, for coming on as guest this week. It was really great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to see stats for the beer league, go to blstats.carrotbite.net. Recently added champs pages there. So now all different categories of pages are there, and I can start working on probably refining pages to show more info and better info. Because every time I look at match pages, I think, man, I wish I could see the damage done. So that's probably the next thing I'll work on. But that will wrap it up for this week's edition of Dive Bar Weeks 5 and 6. And my cat has started screaming at the wall, so I guess it's perfect that I'm wrapping this up now. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for playing. And thank you so much for joining me. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.